I want to give you some brief background on Gregor Mendel and his work with pea plants. In particular, I want to focus on why peas, and I want to think about what it was about the pea plants that helped Mendel form new ideas that we're going to discuss later, and how those ideas are so sound because of the techniques that Mendel used. This is Gregor. He spent much of his time as a monk in the 1860s thinking about breeding plants. So he spent a lot of time crossing plants, pollinating plants, looking at generations of plants, and trying to understand why, when you crossed particular plants, you got particular outcomes. The important thing for us to think about now and in our future discussions is that math was central to all of what Gregor did. So not only did he take meticulous notes on pea plants, and wait until you see the measurements he did, but not only did he take these fabulous notes, but then he applied statistics and math to it to try to understand what was going on. He did his work in the Czech Republic in the mid-1800s, as I mentioned, and the big ideas were trying to find for us now this set of principles that will govern inheritance. So trying to understand what the rules were of the game. Now we have to keep in mind that in the mid-1800s, the word gene didn't exist. So when we talk genetics today, or the study of genes and proteins and inheritance, we use gene and chromosome and DNA as 5-cent words. In Mendel's time, those words didn't exist. So how did he come up with all of these theories without knowing anything about the true molecular biology or genetics behind it? His basic ideas were very, very simple. He started out with the idea that material comes in pairs. Well, where in inheritance do you have a pair? Right. You've got mom and you've got dad. Terrific. You have a pair. What are they giving to you as far as genetics? Well, they're both giving you a set of chromosomes, right? Now, we know that today. Mendel didn't have a clue. So what he tried to think about are chromosomes in a different way. So without the term, he had to think about what is it that mom and dad are contributing to offspring that are inherited, that they're passing on, and how can you think about them as an entity? Okay, he talked about them a lot as being elements. Don't confuse this with chemistry elements, okay? This is just thinking about these inheritable pieces, if you will, okay? The other thing he thought a lot about was that pairs separate when we talk about gametes. Well, that's terrific, all right? But when we talk about chromosomes in us, we think about these pairs of chromosomes, all right? And literally in meiosis, the production of gametes, we do look at this separation of chromosomes. One goes to one gamete, one goes to another gamete within a single individual. So maybe in dad we're producing 2 sperm, but it's still this separation of individual units of inheritance, okay? Remember, he has no idea what a chromosome is, but he's coming up with all these fabulous ideas.